Rick Telander of the Chicago Sun-Times. There's lots going on in the Chicago sports scene, as always, but none so more right now than in recent days. Joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What did you make of the firing and the explanation of it, Rick?
Kind of strange all the way around, but predictable. We knew something like this was going to happen. Well, actually, we knew this pretty much had to happen because of this conflict between John Paxson and General Manager Gar Forman and with Tom Thibodeaus. And, you know, you're right, Rich. It's very odd that a guy with this kind of a record just would get fired after winning 50 games. I mean, he had 255 wins and only 139 losses in his 5 years. But this all has been kind of leveraged by the uncertainty surrounding Derrick Rose. And this really comes back to him when Thibodeau's first year here in 2010-11, he was coach of the year. They won 62 games, and Rose was MVP. And they got it down to the conference finals against the Miami Heat, led by, who else? LeBron James. We didn't know that was a high point for them. And Thibodeau he's exactly what Paxson thought he was when he hired him. That's what's odd here. This is who Thibodeau is. He's a pretty humorless guy. He's just driven. You know, we have a running joke around here. What does Thibodeau do for fun? Does he ever go out to eat anything? And I remember one time Rose said something like, "Yeah, I think I saw him at a McDonald's one time." But he's a guy, you know, he'd probably be breaking down film when they put him in his grave. But that's what you got. He was a defensive expert with the Celtics. He was, a basketball lifer. He'd been with the Celtics under Doc Rivers. And when Paxson hired him, that was exactly what they knew they were getting. I kind of compare this to a divorce. You know, the 7-year itch, whatever you want to call it. You just get sick of everything that the other person is, even though you knew that when you married them.
It sounds a lot like Rick. This
sounds. Here he goes. Now he's $9 million, 2 years left on his contract, and with the most successful coach since Phil Jackson has been fired.
Yeah, and it's this. It sounds like if this was a Mad Lib, Rick, and you just changed the proper names, Thibodeau for Harbaugh, and Paxson for Balky, and Chairman Reinsdorf for Jed York. This sounds a lot like the language we heard about the breakup between the 49ers and a very successful head coach, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, well, that's true. You know, Harbaugh is, everybody knows he's at times he's like a whack job. And he is so focused that it's just could drive anybody crazy. You know, just him, what is he? He never wears anything but khaki pants. Right?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. You see him coming to work one more time in those khaki pants, and I'm going to fire you. Honest to God, it becomes little things like that you just, they're going to flare up. We want you to have this assistant coach. We'd like you to play this player. We'd like you to reduce this guy's minutes by 30 seconds or play this guy on third down or just little things like that. And it turns into major grievances. This is very much a human relationship kind of thing. And, Harbaugh's a guy, he'll wear out his welcome anywhere he goes, I'm sure, but he'll keep getting bigger and bigger contracts. And, the standard for this, it's been around in sports for a long time. The guys who were just really devoted, kind of semi-crazed winning coaches, they'll move around and they'll be successful wherever they go, but they are very, very difficult for others who have big egos in management to deal with.
Rick Telander of the Chicago Sun-Times joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. You called Thibodeau the most successful Bulls coach since Phil Jackson. After Phil Jackson, the Bulls reached into the ranks of Iowa State and took Tim Floyd and put him in that spot. And the rumor is they're going to go to Iowa State again. If Fred Hoiberg shows up as the new coach of the Bulls, how would the fan base react to that, Rick?
If brought in properly, I think it'd be kind of a wait-and-see thing. He has no bad vibes from Chicago. People liked him when he was here as a ball player. You know, he's just a steady player. He's been successful at Iowa State. But I tell you, the comparisons to Tim Floyd are just going to fly because going back to when Phil Jackson was still winning the fifth and sixth of his final NBA championships for the Bulls, Jerry Krause, the general manager, was out courting Tim Floyd. They were going fishing together, things like that. And Tim Floyd was kind of this hot prospect coming out of college who'd never coached in the NBA. And it's just a disaster. He went 49 and 190 in 4 years. And you knew there had to be a letdown after Phil Jackson, but it made everybody wonder, why did you get rid of Phil Jackson in the first place? And Michael Jordan couldn't. Of course, everybody was tired of everybody. They were just sick of each other. And you just think, man, if we could have kept that going, maybe they could have won another title. Who knows what could have happened? But I think if Hoiberg gets off to a good start, if the players, it's not just if they like him, if they can play for him, and if the Bulls stay healthy. Their starting five only played 21 games together this entire year. So that also was part of Thibodeau's doom. So the other thing they got to do, they got to get past the monster that's there now. It's not going away, and that's LeBron James.
Now the shoe's on the other foot, because for years the monster was Jordan and nobody could get past him in Chicago. And now the shoe's on the other foot in a way. Rick Telander joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. George McCaskey, the face front member of Bears ownership, essentially apologizing to the fan base for signing Ray McDonald, saying that he wished he could have done a little bit more homework on him, although from what it seems, he spoke to Ray McDonald himself and McDonald's parents. What do you think the McDonald signing has left with the Bears fan base and how they view the team, Rick?
It's something that's going to come back and haunt them, especially George McCaskey. It's going to be, on his permanent record. It was just a stone-cold disaster. It's going to implicate Ryan Pace, the new general manager, either that he will say at some point, well, I never wanted Ray McDonald anyway, or our new coach, Fangio, the defensive coordinator, who said, he knew Ray McDonald and vouched for him. It puts a bad stain on everybody in the Bears organization. They're going to have to do something to get over it. And if they make more bad decisions for whatever reason on their talent and the personnel, well, this is going to be that people are always going to bring up Ray McDonald. The thing that I think went wrong for George McCaskey was, and it is the whole McCaskey family. I'm not sure. I think everything he does, everything anybody does, they're thinking about Mom Virginia, and they're thinking about older brother Michael and all the other McCaskeys who were there. So it's kind of like a family deal. The thing that they did, you bring a guy in and you talk to him. Now, he's desperate. He comes hat in hand. He flies to Chicago on his own dime. You call his mom and his dad. It's kind of like you're waiting to find things, so they tell you, you have to take this guy. You've got to. But that's got nothing to do with it. Really, what you just look at is, why did the 49ers get rid of him? They said he had a history of bad decisions. Well, I don't know if you knew him, but I knew O.J. Simpson. He was a nice guy. He'd come and talk to you, and he was very pleasant. But, there's a history of bad decisions there. You don't interview a guy to find out what he's like, what he's going to do. And I think the big mistake here is nice guys, abusers and domestic abusers and guys who will beat their children, who will do a lot of crazy off-field things. They can be wonderful people when you talk to them. You yourself in a business situation, but there's that Jekyll and Hyde moment, and how do you know about that? You don't get it from asking that person himself, unless you want to give them all kinds of psychological tests, and maybe those would show something. But Ray McDonald's past, I think, spoke for itself.
Rick Telander of the Chicago Sun-Times. Before I let you go, sir, what do you think is going to happen in the duck pond tomorrow night with the Blackhawks?
Oh, boy. That's a big one. And, you can't predict hockey. I mean,
Nope.
the way the puck goes and all that, and crazy things. Is a goalie hot? I'd like to say the Blackhawks will put it all together. They've got so much offensive talent with Taves and Kane. And they've got 4 Hall of Famers, Marian Hossa and Duncan Keith on defense. And if Crawford is hot, I would like to say they will win. It's going to be a hostile crowd. They play a different kind of hockey from what the Ducks do. The Ducks are very physical, and they've been beating up the Blackhawks, just crushing them into the boards for 6 games, and they hope that takes a toll on the Blackhawks. But I think that the Blackhawks ultimately have a little bit more talent, and I think that will out tomorrow. I just a guess.
I'm glad that you and I are communicating better than Thibodeau and Paxson and the Bulls, Rick. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it would be hard not to, wouldn't it, Rich?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Thanks for calling in, Rick. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You bet. That's Rick Telander of the Chicago Sun-Times.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.